Okay, so today we're in 9.5, finding unknown angle measures. And we're going to do this through angle relationships. All right, so let's go over some of our terms. Okay, so the first term is adjacent angles. Two angles are adjacent when they share a common side and vertex. So what I want you to think of when you hear the word adjacent is I want you to think of neighbors. Okay, so when you're neighbors with somebody, you share a common property line, right? Like next door neighbors, right? So you share a common property line. The same thing happens with angles. If angles are adjacent, they share a common side, and the vertex is just the point that connects the two lines to form the angle. That's all the vertex is. So the measure of complementary angles. You need to know that complementary angles add up to 90 degrees. It's not 89 degrees. It's not 91 degrees. Complementary measures add up to what? 90 degrees. Supplementary angles lie in the same line. So we're going to see they're adjacent. Okay, they lie in the same line. They share a vertex, and their measures add to 180. All right, have you guys learned at any point that the measure of a straight line is 180 degrees? Okay, so supplementary lines or supplementary angles, they lie on a straight line. The measure of a straight line is 180, but then you have an angle kind of extending out of there, but their angles still have to add up to 180. All right, so we're going to see that today. Vertical angles. All right, if you can learn this rule, vertical angles are the easiest angles out of all of them. Because two angles are vertical when they share a vertex, they're opposite each other, and their measures are equal. So if one measure is 85, the other one is 85. Got it? All right, so let's see what this looks like, all right? It looks intimidating, okay? But once you learn how to read angle measurements, it's not so bad, all right? So we're going to name angles and angle pairs. I'm looking for adjacent angles. Remember, adjacent angles share a common side and vertex. All right, so there's several in here that I could highlight or pinpoint. Let's just start with FBE. Okay, angle FBE. So I want you to write that in the blank. Angle FBE. Okay, now we're going to use, we're just going to say the word and, okay, angle FBE is adjacent. Now remember, adjacent has to share a side and a vertex. So an adjacent angle to FBE would be EBD. Because you guys see that they both share the side BE or EB. All right? They both, this angle, okay, this angle and this angle both have this side, BE. All right? They share the common side. All right? So we would call them adjacent. One pair of adjacent angles. So, and angle EBD. Now, here's what's important when you're listing the sequence for an angle. The vertex or the middle point has to be in the middle, okay? Think about it. If I had said EDB, is that the angle? Is there a line connecting E and D together? So D is not the midpoint. D is not the point connecting the two lines, all right? B is. So that's why I say EBD. Now, you can say it in reverse. You could say it DBE. That would work.
EBF work?
EBF. Yeah, EBF is fine. All right. Okay, so now let's talk complementary angles. So I'm going to erase the highlighter part. Okay. Complementary angles must add up to 90 degrees. So do I see anything in here that might tell me, again, we're not measuring anything. Is there anything in this diagram that I see that I know, hey, that means it's 90 degrees? Do I see anything, Reese? Yeah, does everybody see this little red box? Everybody see that little red box? So the two angles that make up the red box, those are complementary because those two angles have to add up to 90 degrees. Okay? So my complementary angles, all right, just look up here for a second and then we'll write it down, are EBD. And y'all want to say the next one with me? DBC. Those two angles will add up to 90. They're complementary because they add up to 90. All right, so now let's write it down. Complementary angles, angle EBD and angle DBC. Okay? All right, complementary angles. They lie or they make up, they form a 90-degree angle. Now let's talk supplementary angles. Okay? Supplementary angles lie on a straight line and their measures add up to 180. They also share a common side. Okay? So let's look at line FC here. Everybody see line FC? All right, so that's going to be our focus. Do you see how FBA and ABC both are formed off of line FC? Okay, so that means that these two angles right here, let me change the color so you can see. That means that these two angles right here will add up to 180 degrees because they both lie on that straight line. All right? Now, again, all I'm doing is identifying angle relationships here. I don't have any numbers, so I can't figure out what they equal. Okay? So, my supplementary angles are angles FBA. Huh? That's the angle sign. That's the angle sign. And angle ABC. ABC. Okay? All right, last but not least. I'm looking for two angles that are opposite each other and exactly the same. Two angles that are opposite each other. They have to share a common vertex, which is the midpoint. Well, the midpoint's going to have to be B. All right, right there in the middle. Two angles opposite each other. So let's look at FBA. Does anybody have a guess at what its vertical angle pair is? Yes, Sebastian.
CBD.
Yes, CBD. All right, so FBA again and angle CBD. Now remember that vertex has got to go in the middle. So that means, let's just say that FBA was 60 degrees. That means that CBD also is 60 degrees without having to measure anything. All right? So now let me ask you this. If these were the angle measurements, remember what we said about EBD and DBC. What would the measure of EBD have to be? We said that they were complementary. If one of them is 60, the other one would have to be 30 because they have to add to 90. All right, you see that? You see how that works? Because we said, let me change the color again. We said that these two angles, I'm sorry, not 90, 30. 30, goodness gracious. Because they have to add to 90. Right? They were complementary. So 30 and 60 have to, I know they look the same. I'm just saying hypothetically, okay? All right, so now look at this. Didn't we say that these two angles had to be supplementary? Didn't we say that they had to be supplementary? So supplementary adds up to what? 180. So if FBA was 60, what can I do to find ABC, the other one? Subtract it from 180. to find the other one because they're supplementary. All right, so again, we're just kind of starting to piece this together. All right, okay, let's look at the next example. It says classify each pair of angles. So what kind of angle relationship is happening between these two angles? Okay, do I have vertical angles? Do I have adjacent complementary angles? Do I have adjacent supplementary angles? That rule will tell me how they relate to each other. All right, so what do you notice about 70 and x? What do you guys notice about 70 and x? Just tell me. What do y'all notice about them? They're the same. They're opposite each other, which means they are vertical. They're vertical. All right, look back in your notes. What did we say about vertical angles? They share a vertex. Okay, so do they both share the same midpoint? Yes. And their measures are equal. So if one side is 70, x equals 70. There's no work to show at all. Okay? Then x equals 70. What kind of angle relationship do you think is happening on the next one? What do you guys think? That red box might give it away. It's complementary, right? Because the red box means 90, which means that these two angles must add up to 90 degrees. So we can say 31 plus x plus 4. And the only reason x plus 4 is in parentheses, guys, is because that's one angle. They're saying x plus 4 is one angle. All right? Are there any like terms that I could combine on the left side of that equation? Do you see any like terms you could combine? 31 plus 4. What's 31 plus 4? 35 plus x equals 90. All right, now I need to solve for x. What would x equal? How can I figure that out? Subtract 35 from both sides. And x equals 55 degrees. All right, now one thing we need to go back and do. We said what they were, but we actually do need to write it. We said that the first pair was vertical, right? I need you guys to write that, okay? So you'll be asked for both of these answers on your quiz and your test. What kind of angles did we say were the second ones? And we can abbreviate. We said that they were, okay, so they are going to be adjacent, ADJ. They're adjacent because they share the common side, okay? And complementary. They're adjacent complementary. All right? Complementary angles are always adjacent because they're always going to be touching. They're always going to share that common side. All right, any questions on those two? Okay. What do you think about the next one, the third one? What kind of angles do you think those are? Together, okay? So think of them together as an angle pair. They both lie on a what? On a straight line. Do you see how this straight line, okay, this angle comes off of that straight line? Does everybody see that? So that means that these two angles have to add up together to equal 180 because the measurement of a straight line is 180 degrees. So whatever angle x is, all right, whatever angle x is, x minus 4, those two together have to add up to 180. So these angles are adjacent, supplementary. Okay, adjacent supplementary. All right, here we go. So if they're adjacent supplementary, x plus x minus 4 has to equal what? What do supplementary angles add up to? 180 degrees. All right, is there anything I could combine on the left side Could I do x plus x? 2x minus 4 equals 180. All right, I want you guys to just pause here for a second and try to finish solving this. Okay, try to finish solving this equation. All right, so let's add 4 and add 4. 2x equals 184. Divide by 2. So what does x equal? 92 degrees. X equals 92 degrees. All right, did you guys get 92? Lucas, did you get 92? Look what happens here, guys. All right, so if x is 92, so that means that this angle is 92 degrees, right? I can just plug in 92 for x, right? What's 92 minus 4? What if I do the other side? What's 92 minus 4? 88. What's 92 plus 88? 180. It adds up to 180. Supplementary. All right, it's going to take practice. Okay, using pairs of angles. All right, so now here comes all our letters and all that fun stuff. Okay, it says find the measure of angle EAB. Find the measure of angle EAB. So starting off, I'm just going to tell you, I can't go straight to EAB. Okay, I'm going to have to use the measurements that I'm given and their relationship and then kind of go from there. All right, so don't focus on EAB yet. What angles do you know? All right, somebody raise your hand and tell me, angle this equals this. What angles are you given? Y'all just tell me. Do you see the 4x right here? Which angle equals 4x? Angle DAC. Does everybody see that? DAC is 4x. What else do I know? CAB is what? 8x plus 12. How do those angles relate to each other? Now, this is the part you're going to have to know, or we're kind of, our ship is sinking if we don't know that. Okay, I hear the S. They are supplementary. So if they're supplementary, what do they have to add up to? 180. Let's set up our equation. All right, so we're saying that 4x plus 8x plus 12 equals 180. Okay, we don't know what x equals yet, but we will. We're about to solve for x. All right, is there anything that we could combine on the left side of the equation? Yep, so 4x plus 8x is 12x plus 12 equals 180. I want you guys to finish solving this equation. All right, we've got to take it a step at a time. If we try to get all the way to the finish line, it can be overwhelming, okay? So go ahead and finish solving for x. All right, Macy, what'd you do next?
I subtracted by 12 on both sides.
Subtract by 12 on both sides. 12x equals 168. All right, divide both sides by 12. And x equals what? 14. All right, so x equals 14. What do you think you're going to do with that? What can you do with that? Solve for the angles. Find the angle measurements. Okay? All right. So what is 4 times 14? 56. Okay? So I want you to write that into your notes. This is going to be important. So if this angle is 56 degrees, and it just so happens to have what little red thing down there in the corner? What does that mean? That it's, what is it? Starts with a C. Complementary couldn't I figure out this angle? Okay, so if DAC is 56, just figured that out, I can subtract that from 90 to find EAD, the other part of the complementary angle. What's 90 minus 56? 34. Okay, so we're just going to kind of go around the horn a little bit here. Okay, now looky here. I've got this angle and this angle, EAB, which is the one I'm trying to solve for. They both lie on the straight line. So what are they going to add up to? 180. So if EAD is 34, what can I do to figure out what the other one has to equal? Subtract it from 180. Subtract it from 180. So 180 minus 34 is 146 degrees. Okay? And that is the measure. So here we go. Angle EAB equals 146 degrees. Okay? Now, here's what I don't want you to do. I don't want you to start thinking about the test. You might think, well, there ain't no way I can take a test on this right now. Okay? But this is the first time that you've seen this concept. So on Monday, we're going to have a supplementary day where we're going to go back over what we learned today. We're going to use iExcel. Okay? All right, we're going to do that. I'm not giving you homework over the weekend because you're not ready for it. All right? And it's the weekend. And, you know, I don't want to give you guys homework. Okay? All right, so that's going to be everything. We'll skip the you try. There is that one last example on the back. I feel like you guys are kind of maxed out, though, for today. So why don't we just cover that on Monday? That was the meat of it. That was the beef of the lesson anyway. We'll cover example 4 on Monday where we kind of have to think critically on this one. And we'll do some IXL practice.